All right, Mike Scarborough here with TigerBait.com, and I'm real excited to have another top flight guy from D1Baseball.com. Mark Etheridge, been covering college baseball for several decades, goes way back, SC baseball, similar trajectory to our good friend Kendall Rogers, and what they built at D1 Baseball is absolutely phenomenal. You got to go subscribe over there. They've added a ton of new features, and I keep telling people to go watch their YouTube channel. They do a lot of great podcasts there. I know Mark does some of those. I watch them, and I'm excited to have him on with us this week because he's coming in tomorrow for LSU's 3-game series with Tennessee, one that a lot of the LSU season ticket holders have been looking forward to have the Vols come to town. And welcome in, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, and nice to chat with you today. And this is one of these series that when the schedule comes out, you circle it. Right? You realize this is going to be one of those special deals. Tennessee had so much success last year. We knew what LSU was building, and we expected, it was LSU would be one of the top teams in the country, and they have not disappointed to this point. So monster matchup. So many stars on the field. Can't wait to get down there.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Kendall said he was going to fight you for this assignment this week, but it looks like you won out, and it looks like we got a little chilly weather this morning here in Baton Rouge, but it's going to warm back up tomorrow, and hopefully we don't have any meteorologists saying one thing like they did last week, and anything gets moved. But you never know what can happen in the spring here in Baton Rouge. One of the things that I think a lot of people look at this matchup and what a pitching duel this is going to be. Paul Skeens obviously is getting a lot of the ink, but the Vols, I know there's some people who think that they actually have a pitching advantage this week.
Well, Tennessee last year had the best rotation in the country. I mean, I really don't think there was much of an argument otherwise. And all three of those guys came back. So coming into this season, we expected, them to pitch at a really high level. And while they've been good, they haven't been great. And those things about expectations, right? You expect it to be awesome, and you're just okay. You're just good. Then people are disappointed. Well, they've been good. They just haven't quite been at the level that some of us hoped. Meanwhile, in the other dugout, Skeens has, right? He has been everything anyone could ever want. And I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this a long time. I don't remember anyone being as consistently fantastic as he's been. Usually you have one game where you're just okay, like we're talking about with the Tennessee guys. He's been, double-digit strikeouts, 1 or 2 hits, maybe 1 or 2 walks, going deep in the game. I mean, he's been everything you could want to this point. And I tell you what, he's shot up the draft boards. He could be a 1-1 guy. And one of his primary competitors for that, for to be the top college pitcher taken, is the guy he's going to face off with Thursday, Chase Dollander. So you're going to have 2 of the best pitchers in the country locking heads Thursday night.
Absolutely. It is amazing. And then to hear what you said, what all the talking heads have said across college baseball, Schlossnagle, after he faced him, all the coaches, Van Horn, I mean, they all come away seeing Skeens and saying he's something they've never seen before, and they start dropping names and saying he's better than those guys. And he is absolutely fun to watch. And but I keep going back to something that Ben McDonald has said, throughout the preseason, and talking about all the expectations and everybody talking about this LSU baseball team. And something that Jay Johnson said on Monday, we're going to get him again this afternoon, was that series over Arkansas was big for them because of what Arkansas has done the previous years. And LSU, frankly, leading up to that, hadn't played very well against the Hogs 3 of the last 4 years or whatever that number was. But as great as Tennessee was and all those series sweeps they had, baseball is a funny game, and anything can happen. And so this could be the catalyst to get the Vols back on track, and it could be where LSU stubs their toe. But they're going to have that crowd behind them. And like you said, this is one they've circled all along.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting deal for Tennessee because we mentioned the expectations, and everyone's thinking, after last year's season, they're going to be so great. There's a lot of pressure to live up to that. Well, guess what this week is? This week they go down, and they're the underdog, right? LSU's the favorite this weekend. So that's a different role for Tennessee. And I wonder how they'll, maybe they embrace that because, there's not really a ton of pressure. They just
Yeah,
basically
I'm
get swept.
absolutely. Vitello's using that to his advantage
He
in
should.
motivating this team, and it's going to be a big regional environment, and it's going to be a really fun crowd. It's going to be a tough ticket for LSU fans here in town. What are some of the keys that you see is what Tennessee's going to have to do to try and win this series and take 2 out of 3 from LSU?
Yeah, they've got to work the count, get into the LSU bullpen, make them use a lot of guys. Don't let Skeens go 7, 8 innings. Use some of those bullets in game 1, so they're maybe not available or at a lesser availability in the weekend. And I think it's as the series goes on, Tennessee's rotation depth should be an advantage to them. Not that LSU's, not that they're a problem there, but Hurd hadn't been throwing enough strikes, right? He's been walking too many guys in game 3. So I'm really curious to see how that progresses this weekend. Does he pitch the way he did earlier in the season and really look like a guy who's going to be their weekend starter forever? Or he struggled the last 2 weeks. What do you do with that? Do you stick with him? And he's so talented, you need him to be where you want to go. Or do you maybe give him a break and let him pitch a midweek and put somebody else in there? I think that's what Tennessee needs to do is to get into that LSU bullpen, because I don't know that if you're going to match top guy to top guy, LSU's offense is too good. I don't think Tennessee can match them. They're replacing basically the entire lineup from last year, and they're very talented guys, and they brought in some transfers, but they, if you stack the lineups up, LSU has the better lineup on paper. And home crowd, Dylan Cruz, you can't get the guy out. I mean, he's hitting 540 something. It's just, I think
it's crazy.
Yeah, I this late in the year, you just don't do that, right? I mean, he is, obviously you wouldn't expect him to be able to bat, 500 or high 4s, but he's putting some doubt in our heads, isn't he? That he's going to keep this going.
Another run rule game last night, and you bring up bullpen and relief pitching, and there's still some LSU fans out there. They're still getting a little antsy or nervous if LSU is as deep as they think, or and it's something that Jay Johnson has wrestled with. You've had these 10-run rule games, another one last night with Grambling, and how much work has his guys gotten? Has he seen enough of some of his pitchers to know what he's got coming into some of these weekends where you might burn through some pitchers? And the flip side of it is you've got a lot of pitchers that are rested because you haven't played. They haven't gotten enough work. So it's a double-edged sword for him.
Yeah, it is. And the good part is there are options out there. You don't know how stretched out some of those guys are, how much they can give you, and how they're going to bounce back pitching in multiple days or back-to-back days, that sort of thing. But I'd rather have the dudes, right? And LSU certainly has the options out there. I mean, there are guys that were on the staff last year who were in key roles that just can't see the field because the influx of talent has taken over. So really excited about the potential for this LSU team. When you don't have to worry about Friday at all, right? It just makes everything else so much easier. And with as consistent as Skeens has been in game 1, things are just falling into place. And Floyd's been, he was really good last week after kind of maybe a little inconsistency, but what the talent is there. And if he figures it out and you've got that 1-2 punch, then I'm not too worried about game 3 because you just have so many options available.
Absolutely. Well, this LSU Tennessee baseball preview, of course, is brought to you by our good friend, attorney Kenny Haynes. Let's hear from Kenny real quick.
Board-certified family law specialist Kenneth P. Haynes is a highly skilled and experienced trial and appeal attorney with over 33 years of experience solving real legal problems for real people, specializing in all aspects of family law, divorce, support, custody, and property. Your standards are high, so are ours. For representation in Northwest Louisiana, call attorney Kenny Haynes at 318-222-2100.
There you are. Of course, Kenny is the unofficial official lawyer of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. Mark, I wanted to ask you: is there some newcomers on this LSU baseball team? Certainly, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's what LSU did in the offseason with the transfer portal has been absolutely staggering, and it's big rewards. It looks like.
Yeah.
Is there some newcomers that you're really looking forward to seeing that you've never seen in person before?
Well, I saw LSU opening day, so I've seen most of
Okay.
these guys. But I mean, what Jared Jones has done as a freshman, I mean, he's a great big kid. He does not look like a freshman. I mean, and the ball jumps off his bat. Really exciting, really exciting guy to watch. And of course, Tommy White, the transfer from NC State, has come in and he's done everything you want him to do. I mean, he's hitting bombs. He missed some time and still has eight home runs. Those are two that certainly catch your eye. Of course, Paxton Kling is one of the most talented freshmen in the country. Been a little bit up and down, but certainly the talent is there. And I think he's a guy who could step forward and give you yet another elite kind of player like Cruz was earlier in his career.
A lot of people are pointing to him as being the next guy. The next big time guy where you go Bregman, Cruz, and he's the next one.
Yeah, and the ability
and that's a lot.
There.
Yeah.
And the other guy I mentioned is Brady Neal behind the plate.
I love Brady.
Yeah, he's hard to believe he's a freshman. Just a mature player, clutch hits. Really big fan of him. I think he's got a great future.
We get him. We've now had him twice for player interviews. I don't know if we're going to get him again today, but he's such a super look kid. Yeah. Young, he's full of excitement. There's no jaded in him. Love his personality. Was 17 years old when he arrived, just turned 18. And he's like the little brother, it seems like, for everybody on that baseball team. But, when you bring in all these stud players and big alpha guys, a lot of people are wondering if they would gel, if there'd be some chemistry issues on this baseball team, and they really have not had it, at least that we know of. Yeah. And Jay Johnson, his staff have done a fantastic job with that. And I think the competition amongst all those guys up and down that lineup is what's also propelling this LSU baseball team.
And, that really was the question on this team. It wasn't that they didn't have enough talent. Everybody recognized the talent. It was, okay, well, you can only pitch one guy at a time. You can only have 9 guys in the lineup, and you've got plenty of people who are worthy of it, right? And who at other programs would be starting and playing and every day and be the cleanup hitter. And now you're not even playing, or you're only playing, one game a week. How is that going to transpire on and off the field, right? If you're not getting enough at bats when you do, are you pressing? Are you not sharp? All those kinds of things. And then the off the field stuff is are you going to have some bickering and jealousy and are you all in the dugout cheering, when the guy who's playing ahead of you gets the big hit, right? All of that is so difficult. And if you're going to be a championship team, you've got to manage all of those things. And to this point, you have to give Jay credit. I mean, he's done a great job with this. He and the entire coaching staff done a great job of managing, kind of a different problem, right? Because every university doesn't have this problem, and LSU was unique this year. There's an abundance of options, and keeping everybody even keeled is really, that for me, that's the key for LSU down the stretch. I'm not worried about the on the field stuff. It's just just keeping everybody gelled and pointing in the same direction.
Well, you've been a guy who's covered SEC baseball, like I said, for several decades, and there's some interesting storylines across the league, and a lot of people are saying, this team that was picked to be last is here, and the Mississippi schools where they're at in the divisions. Talk about what's been the most shocking thing you've seen in the league, and something that you're scratching your head about, and something that you're amazed about. What are you seeing out there? The crazy storyline so far.
Yeah, there's a lot to pick from. I think I'll start in Starkville. I was there Sunday, and it's just kind of somber. I mean, they're losing games, but they're not just losing them; they're getting thumped. And that's a pretty proud program. They love college baseball there, and they've been successful. And it's really hitting them, where it hurts. And I think everybody wants to say, well, what's happening? why are they this bad, at least so far? Because, I mean, they gave up 26, 18, and 11 in the 3 games this weekend. And from my perspective, what's happening, they're giving up way too many free bases, too many walks, too many hit batters, too many pass balls, too many wild pitches, too many errors. And and how that is contributing is, instead of the 1 run you give up, you're giving up 4 and 5 and 6 in an inning, and then you're out of the game, and then it's snowball.
Yeah.
And people, you kind of lose hope. And I think that's the thing. They've had some pitching injuries, and hopefully they'll get some of those guys back. But that's one of the bigger surprises. I think on the positive side, Kentucky.
Yes.
Kentucky is,
I knew you were going to go to Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky's pitching really well, and they are playing small ball. Everybody else in the league wants to hit home runs, and they do some of that. But they're really putting pressure on you, making you field the ball, making you throw runners out. It's a different way to play compared to what most of the rest of the league does, and they're really excelling at it. And as a result, you need to pitch well if you're going to play that way, and they are. And to this point, I mean, they've been one of probably the biggest surprise in the league. I think the other place I'll go is Florida, with just how good Jack Caglione has been. He's a two-way player. I saw them in Oxford Saturday. He hit 4 home runs in the weekend. He hit 3 in a doubleheader on Saturday, and then he pitched on Sunday as the starting pitcher. He's this big hulking guy. He's the biggest, strongest, baddest man on the field. And then you go talk to him, and he's all well-mannered and polite, and just a peach of a guy to talk to. And it's just this dichotomy of this monster he's got 17 home runs this year. He's getting a homer every 6 at bats. And then, and then he's pitching. So he's splitting time.
How excited are they up there? Are they packing the house? What?
Yeah, they're still at the honeymoon stage. Last year was so successful, and while there's concern, they lost Hunter Elliott, their top. He was going to be their ace, and they expect to get him back mid-April. They're trying to tread water really till that point, and then make a push, kind of like what they did last year, make a push and then get back in this thing. And there's talent on that lineup. They've got some pitching issues. Just from a consistency standpoint, they've got different guys in different roles that really didn't expect to have there, and they got to figure it out. But offensively, that's a really strong lineup. They aren't hitting it right now, for whatever reason. Maybe it's who they played. They played Vandy and Florida, 2 really good staffs. But that's why they're 0-6. If they had a different schedule, they certainly wouldn't be 0-6.
Well, you're heading this way tomorrow, and I'm sure you've been to Baton Rouge many times for series. And what do you have? You have a routine? Any restaurants you're looking to hit while you're here? Because you're going to be here for
recommendations. I mean, always. I'm a big Cajun food guy, so if you want to send them my way.
Well, I always tell everybody to go to Elsie's Plate and Pie on Government Street, and I always seem to win the media that came in from Hawaii for the women's first round game. They all went there after they had been here for a few days, and they told me on their way out that was the best one they went to. So
wow.
I always say Elsie's, but there's a lot of others.
Yeah, no doubt.
Shoot me a text, and I'll give you some more. But
yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's great, and it's kind of a different series because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we have
What do you think of those?
If I'm at home, I love it because there's something for me to watch on Thursday night. But from a coverage standpoint, I'm not a huge fan. It also kind of screws up your pitching. If you have some double headers, you get rained out on Friday and you have to play 2 Saturday, and then you have a Thursday series, you're not going to bring your guy back.
Well, I think Jay, the fact that he had a double header on Saturday and was off Sunday, it helps him this week.
It does. It absolutely does. And you're not bringing guys back early or not as much. And So I understand why they do it. It's great exposure. You'll have kind of the audience to yourself instead of splitting it. But there's some there's some downsides to it. And plus, from a draw standpoint, I mean, it's just harder for people to get there on a Thursday night.
Absolutely. Now, before I let you get out of here, please tell everybody how to find you on Twitter. You're at your Twitter handle. What's going on at D1 baseball? I know y'all added some more SEC centric stuff to D1 baseball recently. And
Yeah.
I really tell people, look, if you're a college baseball fan, and LSU baseball fans certainly are plugged in and are knowledgeable, it's worth the premium subscription to subscribe to D1 baseball, but give them the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, and, we're D1 Baseball, and you can certainly follow me on Twitter. It's my name, Mark Etheridge, and we started this new service this year. It's called SEC Extra. It's myself and Joe Healy, who was at Baseball America before, and what we're doing is we're still the normal site still covers SEC, but we go a level deeper. Okay, so we're focusing on the stories that are either untold or undertold, and trying to give you that next level analysis of what's going on. Like last weekend, I just wrote a column. I went to Oxford, I went to Starkville. I compared the two, what the moods are like. So a lot of the questions that you ask, that was what we talked about in that story. So we'll do something similar this weekend. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but we'll figure out kind of the extra story that maybe you're not going to find elsewhere. That's what we're trying to do anyway. So
absolutely. Well, enjoy your trip. Have a safe travels. Thanks for joining us this week. And I hope to have you on soon. And I'm sure you're going to be covering LSU again sometime before the end of the regular season. Of course, we know SEC tournament time and all that in Hoover. You'll be nonstop and barely sleeping. But thanks for jumping on with us, and we're going to holler at you soon.
All right, Mike. Take care.
All right, Mark. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.